So NBA 2K19 MyTEAM was a relatively positive experience for the vast majority of people that played the game mode. Heck, the game had so much intrigue that the most viewed video on my channel was the entire documentary from that game. So hopes were high coming into NBA 2K20 that we were going to get one of the best, if not the best, MyTEAM experience we've ever had. And honestly, in certain ways we did. And in certain ways, this was the worst game that 2K had ever produced. But there's only one thing that I can say for sure, and it's that from pre-launch to today, there has not been a day where this game mode has not been at least interesting. And even people that hate this game mode, it's one of the things that's hard to turn off. And whether you're a fan of what they've done or not a fan of what they've done, it is something that has garnered the interest of every single player who has played NBA 2K20 this year, whether that be in a positive or a negative light. But at the same time, looking back at what things were like a year ago, so much has changed. There has been so much that has changed with the way that we look at this game mode, with the amount of people that have voiced, with the amount of people that have grown in terms of content creation, in terms of tips. This game mode has evolved more this year, I believe, than any other year in terms of how to play it. Again, some people find that to be a negative because there's too much quote-unquote cheese, but at the same time, I just feel it is people that are improving. So there has been so much this year, from unstoppable dribble moves to so many patches, to even things like the game being completely broken and the auction house resetting every day for a couple of weeks. It's been, obviously, as I stated, there has been an awful lot of positives and negatives, and it's been happening since before this game even came out. And in this video here, we are going to be having a look at everything in this game mode. We're going to be looking at pre-launch, we're going to be looking at the great cards that 2K have released through the year. We're going to be looking at things like how the game has evolved, how our thoughts of the game has evolved. Also look at things like competitive MyTEAM, looking at the 250k tournaments, and also doing a couple of creator spotlights throughout this video, which, like I did last year, just to highlight certain individual things that people have done. Obviously, a lot of creators have grown big time this year, but there are a lot of certain things that stand out more than others, certain events, which is what we're going to mainly be focusing on rather than, say, X creator grew X amount this year. But if there is a specific event that ties in with something we're talking about, we will be looking at that. So anyway, yeah. In this video, we're going to start off, and this will be kind of like my introduction video to this topic. We are going to be looking at pre-launch for NBA 2K20. So this is going to be the introduction. This will also be in the main video. But anyway, hope you guys enjoy. So the first news we got were the developer blogs as well as the trailer for NBA 2K20 MyTEAM. And in general, from the developer blog, especially from what we'd seen with 2K19, where the gameplay was a step up, people were in general very positive with it. There was a lot of things. It appeared from our perspective that there was an awful lot of free things we were going to be getting, which is always something that's great in MyTEAM, as well as that, the fact that they announced position locks. While there were definitely skeptics to position locks, myself included, well, mainly myself, I got so much hate for it, but exactly what I said was going to happen happened. But a lot of things like position locks people were happy about. I was really happy with the Evo cards. Prime Series was the same as 20th anniversary. So it honestly looked like there was not going to be any, just in terms of just the game mode wise, it was going to be a really positive experience. However, something that went over my head and a lot of other people's heads in the community, because we were just looking at it as the game mode, we'd almost become just numb to what 2K were doing, was the entire gambling controversy. And looking back on this a year later, I definitely see why there was uproar about it from the non-2K players, but I also understand why 2K players were like, look, it's just free stuff for us. I understand why, again, it kind of went under the radar within the 2K community because we know the game mode. And also, just looking at this, the triple threat court is literally looks like a casino. The game mode looks like it's casino themed, the entire thing. So yeah, definitely in poor taste. Whereas I do not believe ball drops, I don't believe that certain things like spin the wheels are necessarily gambling. I do believe the pack system is. Looking back on it, at best it's poor taste. Even something like these slot machines. So I definitely understand why 2K had to take them out of the game. And I think that this entire controversy did end up being a little bit of a positive, that the game looked a little bit less like a casino. But either way, at the end of the day, it is something that was a major part of this game pre-launch, and something that I don't think 2K have had this much controversy ever as they had with multiple massive YouTubers making videos about it. These videos got hundreds of thousands, if not close to millions of views, millions combined anyway. And anytime you searched up NBA 2K20, the only thing that came up pre-launch was about the casino. It got to the stage where no more MyTEAM news is being released. They wouldn't let Cash post any videos about MyTEAM, and also people didn't even know if the game was going to launch with the MyTEAM mode. In the end, they took out just the TT offline game mode, but people legitimately did not know if 2K were going to release the game with their main moneymaker game mode. That is how crazy this controversy was. And then a couple of days later, we got our only info pre-launch, and this was only a couple of days before 2K came out. I'm pretty sure this was in September by the time this video was released. And this was really all we saw, and it was a video from Cash Nasty. So thank God for Cash, he actually went over everything about this game mode, so we could straight away see the Dwayne Wade Spotlight challenges. A lot of people got really excited. There was 3 different choices. Not only one, which was Will Chamberlain, there was 3 different choices for the Galaxy Opal reward. We didn't know going into this year how difficult or how easy it was going to be to get these, but if you guys remember last year how big the grind was for that Wilt, for I think Ambish was the first one to get it, how big of a deal it was for him, no one knew what the story was going to be like this year. However, the pack opening part, we weren't that interested, but what we did notice was, I couldn't find it here, but was that Simmons was actually a power forward, and also that there was no badges. The fact that there was no badges meant that people thought either badges were gone, or that badges were a thing that nobody could put them on the cards, and in the end it turned out to be the latter. And also going over the collector level rewards, again, this wasn't something that I was too interested in, to be honest. Looking at these rewards, these are the type of things that I've never completed a collector level. I have no interest in ever doing it. This year was actually more worth it than ever, but what was interesting in this was the Isaiah Thomas card. The fact that he had 3 evos, so he evoed up to a Galaxy Opal, and they confirmed he evoed up to a Galaxy Opal as well. Having not seen evo cards, and the novelty of that was huge. Anytime we saw a star on a card, we got excited, being like, oh look, we can evolve this card and make it better. Because yeah, it's not the most interesting topic right now, but it is something that we thought was very interesting. So yeah, this screen was basically the end of it. Again, something that we thought maybe there was a little bit of use for. In terms of tips and tricks, we don't know what the community polls are going to be. Team of the week might help certain people. Like in the end, I don't think the community hub is really that useful. However, at the end of the day, it is something for new players, and it's not like it's a bad thing to have. It's just not something a lot of experienced players will get any use out of. But for a new player, I don't know, maybe they do. To say 2K20 was a disaster starting out is an understatement. While it wasn't quite WWE 2K20, it was very bad. First of all, before the game even launched in the US, there was a glitch where people were getting 300 tokens. So much so that people were complaining about Australia having a time zone difference and saying it's an unfair advantage, and the game mode got reset for everyone, pretty much. Then, as well as that, TT Offline, because of the entire gambling fiasco, didn't come into the game for about a week, which was kind of crazy. As well as that, the auction house just didn't work. Like, at the start of the game, yeah, there's been times where the auction house is reset. The auction house legitimately just did not work. Like, you'd be searching up a card under a certain price and none of them would come up. And then all of a sudden you'd put them way higher, and like bronzes were showing up in the silver filter. It was weird. Like, the game didn't work. The game just did not work. As well as that, there was the sub glitch. There was people playing people out of position. Literally, all you had to do to bypass position locks was just start spamming the player into the position and eventually you get in. The collector level glitch lasted till April, where if you logged into your account on a different region, so if you logged in with a different region, you just got, like, your collector level reset, so you couldn't access the auction house. So legitimately, your game got bricked if you logged into your account on a different region other than your own. So if you traveled to a different continent and logged in, or a different server and logged into the account, your account will get bricked. It was so bad. Fix 2K20 was #1 on trending on Twitter. The game was an absolute disaster at launch. But then again, it's 2K. Then we got Larry Bird. This was the worst card I've ever used in this game. I've used bronzes. I'll take them over this card. This was the worst card I've ever used in 2K. The slowest release I've ever seen. He couldn't play defense. He couldn't run. I don't know what it was, like, this was my first experience with why I was like, quick draw is kind of needed, because this card was awful. Then there was only really 2 ways people played. So there was run to the basket with someone like a Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose was definitely the best for rim running. And that was definitely a really effective way of playing. Defense was 2-3 zone most of the time, because no one had range extender and there was no one really knew about 21 delay to beat it, as well as the fact it was green or nothing. And then there was a secondary way people played. Because a lot of times people would help off Mirasan, you just give it to Mirasan and post up. At this stage, post hooks were broken. The speed patch with the things, and Mirasan's the fastest player in the game. He was basically unguardable at the start. As well as that, people realized very early, I was probably the first to realize this, and I sold all my players for a reason. The reason why I did this was that, apart from maybe Kawhi and Paul George, the auctionable players were terrible. Actually, a few of the Dwayne Wade players were okay. So like Allen Iverson and stuff were okay. But the players you were getting from Domination, the fact that like Des Mason was a card that people picked up, and this Gerald Green was really nice as soon as they opened TT offline, even when he even up to Ruby. These cards were so much better than the current day cards that everyone realized. They were like, why do we have 10k locked in? We can have 400 or 500k. But this card was the first. He was a game changer. This card here was a game changer. When you evoed him up to Ruby, which was not a difficult thing to do when you were playing TT offline, because it was on Rookie for the first couple of games, and he came out, I think, the day after TT offline came out. So it was also back in the day when if you called a screen and kind of walked into it, a player would hop under the screen. So it was so easy to get up around evos and grind badges. So for that reason, Channing Frye, again, he didn't have quick draw straight away, but his release was fast even without it. And with quick draw, he was the best big in the game, and it wasn't close. He was the first counter to Mirasan. If you didn't want to run Mirasan, that was fine, because you would 5 out with Channing Frye. And 5 out was in the game for the first while, so he was without question. Yeah, he shot a lot of full whites, but he was without question exceptional. Then there was multi-dimensional packs, and at the time, a lot of people were excited about like Jordan, Havlicek, and J.R. Smith. However, being completely honest, the 2 point guards were the 2 best cards in this set. So the Emerald Evo, again, auction is, as you guys can see, it's still a little bit iffy, but the Emerald Evo Charlie Ward was exceptional. Like, he was ahead of his time. If we knew what we know, like if we knew then what we know now about the game, about badges and stuff, him evoed up to Ruby, which is a really quick thing to do, without question, was the best point guard in the game at that stage. However, we didn't know exactly how big Clamps was, and Darrell Armstrong was also a beast. Offensively, he was a god. He had quick draw, he could dunk on everybody. At this stage, a lot of people were using Frye and not using Mirasan, and that stopped the rim protection. A lot of people started moving away from the zones, which was killer. And then we got the first really, really good pack of cards. So we got into Kevin Garnett packs. Kevin Garnett himself, when he was evoed up, was exceptional. Rondo wasn't terrible, but that Latrell Sprewell, the Stephon Marbury evo card was unreal. Kobe and Pierce were expensive, but Wally Zerbiak for 4k MT. You had 2 range extender guys in Sprewell and Zerbiak, and then there was Marbury. As well as that, they nerfed Mirasan on this day, which was kind of crazy. But this Stephon Marbury is the best point guard in the game for quite a while, to be completely honest. And then, obviously, we had gotten previous Earl Monroe legacy, but then we got this George Mikan, who was so nice. He was like, imagine Channing Frye, but not terrible on defense. He could shoot like Frye. He had a better release than Frye. Yeah, he shot a lot of full bars, everyone did, but he was a god tier card. And then we got Pink Diamond Stockton. Again, a card that was very ahead of his time, because we didn't really know quite how good he was. We didn't know quite how good things like Hall of Fame Clamps were. But he had basically all the key badges. Yeah, he didn't have the most badges in the game, and it was actually the last Stockton we got until, well, last good Stockton we got until the Go card, which is coming out in a few days. And Stockton, he could do absolutely everything. He could dunk when he was wide open. His jump shot was really nice and quick. Defensively, he was locked down. There was a reason why people were still using him as their point guard until like Gilbert Arenas and Derrick Rose and stuff came out. Stockton was an incredible, incredible card. In October, we finally got a good player of the month reward. So it wasn't like it was the Larry Bird reward, who was terrible. We actually got Amari Stoudemire. And I used Amari as my center for quite a while. He was very much like a better version of a George Mikan type player. Quick release, good on defense, and overall good card. And then we got packs where I was kind of like, oh, I'm very iffy on these. Steve Francis was the only good card. It was a big step down on the Kevin Garnett packs. However, the Evo Jerome Kersey was insane. So he evoed from Emerald all the way up to Diamond, which was crazy, as well as having most of the best badges in the game. He was, for about 2 days, the best card in my team. He definitely was. When he came out, I'm not questioning it at all. He was the best card in the game when he was evoed up. For about 2 days until they came out with X-Man, who was just literally Kersey, but better at literally everything. He was a better jump shooter than Kersey. He was faster. He was longer. He was a better defender. He could play at the 3 or 4. This card was unbelievable. And heck, X-Man's new card is really, really good as well in this game. So, yeah, it's been a good year for Xavier McDaniel. Then we got this pack right here. A lot of people were excited about the Will, but I never liked that Will card. The cards that I really think made a difference out of these were, first of all, Kevin Love. And that T. Ross, offensively, was the best. He was the best offensive wing in the game. Starting off with Kevin Love, we didn't have any range extender bigs at this stage, so him being a range extender big alone meant that he was in a lot of squads, and a lot of people that ran a lot of pick and pops used him. Yeah, he wasn't good on defense, but Terrence Ross was next level, lads. Like, it took him a while to evo up. He was kind of expensive even to just get his Ruby card. However, once you got him evoed, he started off slow, his speed went up, his dunking went up, but his shooting was basically the same from the Ruby. And I used that Ruby, man, he was nice. He was so good as a Ruby. It was only a matter of like time till I was going to get him Diamond. However, I never did. Then there was the 250k tournament. So no one knew how it was going to run, if the tournament point system was going to be the same as last year. Turns out it was, which is not a very good way to do things. So coming into the tournament, I didn't know what to expect really. I didn't do particularly well in 2K19, but you never know, I was a bit confident. So week 1, Ty, Goggles, Splash, and Yurik made it in. Yurik is air up there 15, he's from Belarus. He actually couldn't enter because of his country, however, Maddie or Brown Boy ended up getting in instead. Then we ended up with the Dirk packs. So I was very excited about these packs. However, none of these cards really in the grand scheme of things were that relevant to the game mode. However, if you guys do remember my Devin Harris investments, I bought like 100 of him at 500 MT. I made a little bit MT discarding, but I'm safe to say not very good investments in investing in Devin Harris. Then, remember heat checks, lads? Remember heat checks? Remember how they made it a big deal being like, oh, there's going to be certain levels to heat check? And I think the reason why heat check didn't work, because at times we had like 97 overall Kawhi Leonard. But the problem was that they never updated the badges. So none of these cards had quick draw. Like no current NBA player has quick draw. So no one was ever going to use the heat check because you could just use cards with quick draw. It was the most important badge in the game, and heat check cards just didn't have the badge. So yeah, it was one of the weird things. Even their stats got better, no one ever used them. Then we had Lights Out. This was our first really great pack. So Clay Thompson was a great card, except he had a weird glitch where he used to match up to your team centers. I don't know what was wrong with it. Kevin Durant, great offense, he couldn't play defense. Exact same Peja, exact same with Gilbert Arenas. For me, the biggest things were LaFrance was an unbelievably good cheap player. Coutinho Mobley, one of the best cheap shooters in the game, and that Swaggy P carried me quite a bit. So there was a lot of good players for cheap, and for me anyway, like, it's not like Coutinho Mobley's that much worse than Kevin Durant evoed up, and he was so cheap. Then we got our first moments of the week. I'm telling you, when Moments of the Week came out, I was so happy. I was so happy with this because I felt like it was a really, really great thing in game. I felt like we're going to be getting new cards each week, and we did. And if you guys don't, you'll see later on that Moments of the Week were actually probably the biggest sets we were getting. The weird thing was with this Moments of the Week was that RJ Barrett and Kobe White's pictures are mixed up. However, they both were very, very good cards. Trae Young, not so much. Shea was good though, and Kendrick Nunn Evo was okay. But Trae Young, I think, was the first card in this game with a Hall of Fame range extender. However, he just wasn't good. I'm sorry, Trae Young. This is not a game for Trae Young. He couldn't play defense. He had defense, I think, in the 60s. I think his lateral quickness was only in the 60s as well. Like, he was awful. He was absolutely awful, even when he came out. And then, this is not really my team related, but 2K literally made the game free. I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding. You guys might think I'm not being serious here. 2K made the game free. Yeah. 2K were giving out free copies of NBA 2K20 to so many people. It turns out that I don't think many people were spending money on like packs and stuff. So they wanted to give the game to people that had paid like money for microtransactions in previous years and hadn't in 2K20. However, I think really the reason was that 2K, we can see it now that most people spend money on the game later on in the year when the juiced cards come in. However, with 2K, I think they were expecting similar spending patterns to the end of 2K19. However, it's always going to drop, just like the start of 2K21 is going to drop from how it is now. It's always going to drop because people aren't going to spend the money till the juice cards come out. So they're trying to bring more people into the game, and the fact that so many got these codes, it just wasn't the right time to do it. But yeah, that was the very end of November, and that ends a kind of boring month, to be completely honest, in 2K. So November, we got the best by a mile reward we had gotten. This was probably, in terms of like comparison to the rest of the game, the best 12-0 reward we had ever gotten. Maybe Finley was better. But his only negative was silver quick draw, which at the time not quick draw, steady. Everyone had steady at that time. He had gold quick draw. His release was Lillard's release, really, really nice. He had gold clamps at the time, which not a lot of point guards had. As well as that, he was an elite dunker. At the time, there wasn't any giant point guards in the game. He was the best point guard in the game at that stage. It was between him, really, and John Stockton. I personally had Baron Davis ahead of him. Then on the 1st November as well, we got Paul George, who was by far the best wing in the game, in my opinion. Yeah, we had some great offensive wings. He could do everything. He had a good release. The only problem was only silver quick first step, but again, not the biggest deal in the world. He had range extender. He had clamps. He was ultra long at the 2-guard position at 6'9", and even though he only had silver quick first step, and I'm pretty sure he had silver steady, it really did not matter. This was probably the best wing in the game all the way up to Christmas. Well, Christmas Eve. Then they patched 5 out. So you were seeing so many squads just running giants in 2-3 zones, because it took about a week till people figured out how to do it. Go 5 out again. But before that, literally no one knew the freelancers and everyone was just running giants, which was mad. Then they came out with these packs right here. These were the last of the Spotlight Series 1 packs. And honestly, there wasn't many great cards. This Giannis is good. I get it, I guess. Like, IT wasn't good. That Magic Johnson, in my opinion, was not a very good card. Kevin McHale was pretty good as well because he had ultra long length. However, that Kelly Tripucka card, if you guys don't remember that card, I couldn't find any footage for some reason of his Evo, but he had like 107 strength. He got Hall of Fame quick draw when he got Evo'd up to a Sapphire, which is the weirdest thing ever. And then like he got Evo to like 99 strength, and then his next Evo was like plus a certain strength. So it literally was like up to 107 strength. It was the weirdest thing ever. Like there was a bunch of these Evos. I think Vinny Johnson had as well, where he was plus 100 in certain stats. But it was kind of mad what they did with the Evos for these specific cards. Then that Magic Johnson card, he fit a purpose. He wasn't good. He was not good. He was slow. He was sluggish. He couldn't play defense. He couldn't play anywhere but point guard. He couldn't shoot the ball. He had a slow release. He had like one thing going for him and one thing only, and it was 5-out post-up cheese. However, I'm pretty sure at this stage, people didn't know how to 5-out. So you were seeing Magic Johnson. I don't think I ever came up against Magic Johnson. And when I did come up against Magic Johnson, I loved it because he couldn't play defense, and I just run around him with my Baron Davis because I got Baron Davis early in that month. Then we got another Moments of the Week set, and this set here, like it kind of set the tone for Moments of the Week. We got Jonathan Isaac, who was insane for a Sapphire card. We got 2 Diamond cards who could flat out shoot it. They weren't exceptional, don't get me wrong, but they could shoot it. Wiggins was a good card as well. That Dame Lillard could dunk and had Hall of Fame limitless range. He was literally like a better offensive Baron Davis, except he did not have clamps. I didn't use Lillard, but he was an exceptional card, don't get me wrong. And then this happened. The 250k tournament, we were waiting on into it, and right before that, they came out with this Jeff Petrie card. This Jeff Petrie was our first real like introduction to what Wade base was like on any sort of quick draw. Because obviously the Park guys knew about 98, about Wade base, not the Park, or well, the Pro-Am guys mainly. However, my team guys didn't, and for me, this card was ridiculous. He was literally a Wade clone. He was a Wade clone. Like looking back at some of the stuff he was doing, like that's Wade's dunk animation. He just goes to the Pro 3 behind the back into a Wade snatchback. Like he literally was a Wade clone, which was kind of crazy, especially for when he came out in the game. Like, these are all just Wade's animations. And then right before the 250k, 2K actually upgraded a lot of the Evo cards, or a lot of the token rewards. So they upgraded them all by giving them quick draw. They just gave a bunch of them quick draw. Like they upgraded them a lot more throughout the year, but this time was just a quick draw upgrade. However, this was it. You have not qualified. Basically, 50% of the people that clicked in, it said they didn't qualify. So this was the week that I'm pretty sure Air Up There or Uric won it again. I'm pretty sure he qualified 3 of the 4 weeks, and I'm pretty sure I'm the only person that beat him, like in any of the European qualifiers. But yeah, so this week I can't even remember who qualified. Like it's none of those. Maybe Looker qualified. I know YBC qualified. I can't remember who got in. I think Jomar didn't qualify. He qualified the next one. Either way, though, this was seen as like the quote-unquote lucky qualifiers because a lot of the comp guys just weren't able to play. Like Shump, guys like that, legitimately was not able to play in the tournament because of the glitch. Like, again, I wouldn't consider myself comp. I don't think I was going to qualify, but again, I didn't lose a game in the month of November, so I just never know. It's one of those things where even myself looking at it, especially with how low a points total, the point total I got in the final week would have qualified, looking like just what if. At the end of the day, there's no point looking at it. Even if I did qualify for 250k, I was getting smoked first round, so it doesn't really matter. But it was kind of a rough experience for any of those comp guys that really want to take it seriously, especially because there's 250,000 on the line. An error that just isn't letting you play a qualifier is something that really should not have happened. And for some reason as well, they added an extra hour for no reason this week. Fat Boss was actually in the top 4, and then at the end of the whole thing, with like 5 minutes to go, he was number 3. They added an extra hour, and he ended up just not qualifying because he was being stalled out of games. So he was qualifying, and then with 5 minutes to go, they just randomly added an extra hour, and he didn't qualify. This was an absolute shambles, this specific 250k qualifier. Heck, the whole qualifiers were shambles. Then the next week, on the Friday, I'm pretty sure, we got the packs for Dwight Howard. For me, these cards weren't too relevant. I did end up getting the Blake Griffin card, who was incredible at the time as the reward for this whole thing. But Reddick is still to this day I use in overall G-Squad, so he was a fantastic gold. I can't remember any of these other cards being that great. Vince wasn't good. However, Hida Turkoglu. That's the reason I was excited about this set, about these cards. You had to drop 150 points in a game's Evo him, which you obviously did rookie Dom. But yeah, Hida Turkoglu for me was just a fun experience using a card that I was so good with in NBA 2K19, and he still kind of felt the same. Like, they gave him base 8, which is not a release I like. At the end of the day, no one likes base 8 this year. However, he still had the leaner, he still had the dribble moves. I just didn't shoot that many threes with him. Did I use the card a lot? No. I didn't even Evo him up to Amethyst on my main account. However, he was definitely fun for a couple of games. And yeah, he has the leaner. Then we got actually the Ruby Kobe White, which is really interesting because his Sapphire was a very good card. However, for some reason, the Ruby was worse than the Sapphire because they gave him way worse dunk tendencies. So I'm pretty sure they gave him steady as well when Sapphire didn't have it. But either way, an easy challenge on rookie to get a fairly good card. So that was great. Then the best card in the game came out. Zach LaVine. Pretty sure these were the same day for the same moments of the week set. But man, Zach LaVine. This card was so good. He had obviously a LaVine base, which is similar to Trey Burke, gold quick draw. He was so expensive for a reason. There was a reason he was 500 plus K. There was a reason that Mitchell was 500k. This card is unbelievable. Then we got a dynamic duo update. We got our first one of the year, and it was awful. All they did for all these cards was bump up their shot IQ. And I'm not even kidding. None of these cards got better at anything. They bumped up useless stats for every single one of them. These were all worthless duos. Then this happened. This was my I told you so moment. 2K released an exact copy of a Luka Doncic card, except one of them can play point guard and one of them can't. Yep, an exact copy. Obviously, people are going to want to play Luka Doncic point guard, but you're going to have to open packs for that. If you locked in for your other Luka Doncic, tough, because 2K are going to release the exact same card with a different position, different card art. It was something I said exactly what was. I literally said it at the very start of the year that was what was going to happen. And I remember, like, myself and Phantoms even made an entire 40-minute video on his channel talking about stuff that was wrong with my team because of this. This was the beginning of the end, lads. This was the moment people realized position locks will not work in this game. This card was a huge thing for how my team was. Then we've got the Rose packs. These packs were insane. Honestly, they were. Like, that Rose card was just better. Baron Davis. And that Kobe card was absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. We're still one of the best cards in the game up to January. So yeah, that is it for the month of November. So we started off December with the Player of the Month award, and this Clyde Drexler was awful. Oh my god, this card was terrible. Base 4, bad dribble 6, or base 8, bad dribble 6. Couldn't defend. He couldn't do anything. He was terrible, lads. He was absolutely terrible. However, early in December, we got a great moment of the week. These cards right here. We got Buddy, who didn't miss, although he didn't play defense. We had Giannis, who didn't really play much offense apart from this rim running hop step, but he was elite. James Harden, Pink Diamond. I hated him, but if you put that card in Shump's hands, he could win games by himself. AD was a solid defender, also a good pick and pop jump shooter. And that Pascal Siakam card, again, if you didn't want to shoot from Limitless, was absolutely fantastic. we got a great batch of cards right here. And honestly, the month of December was just literally about the content. Like again, we then went and got the Andre Iguodala packs. Even the Rick Barry card wasn't good. Like I didn't like any of these cards. Draymond was okay. Iggy when his Evo was okay. Drew Holiday Evo'd up was okay. Thad Young was alright, but that was really it. Then we got another fantastic moment of the week batch. We got a limitless range shooting Bertans. We got a Rui Hachimura who did almost everything except having clamps. Then we had Aaron Gordon who could shoot and had clamps. Lonnie Walker, who was just blowing by anyone who didn't have clamps. And Jimmy Butler, who had quick first step, clamps, and range extender. He was the best wing in the game at the time. Then the 13th of December happened. Man, this batch of cards. These cards were madness. It was madness, these cards right here. Like, I was in London for the 2K League Invitational when these came out. And I remember looking at these cards being like, these are, like, this Lamar Odom's the best card by a mile in the game. And he was. They gave Lamar Odom base 11. He was a 6'10 small forward. He had 47 badges, which at the time was a ridiculous amount. As you guys can see, Rolando Blackman, Pink Diamond, only 29 badges. And you've got Lamar Odom with some vital ones Hall of Fame and every other badge gold. As well as that, he genuinely didn't even have steady, which most good cards at the time had. So you were looking at Lamar Odom like one of legitimately the best cards. This card's still usable today. He's not good today. Don't get me wrong, he's not good. But if you have him in your team, you still have a chance. Like, he is still borderline, like, he's still usable. He had an unbelievable 6, base 11. This was the beginning of the end for ridiculous cards in this game. And there was Chris Bosh, who was really just a pick and pop jump shooting center. I liked him. I thought he had some weaknesses. And then there was Simmons, a 6'10 point guard. Yeah, he had a weakness, but like the glitch packs putting people out of position, it really kind of summed up the way 2K was going to go. And there was Giant Taco Fall, who was a novelty, but that was really it. Then we got another really good moments of the week batch. Like, we got Jaren Jackson with Joel Embiid, we got Karl Anthony Towns, who were all okay, apart from the fact that they were, all three of them were price fixed and you could only buy them for 34,000, no more, no less. It was kind of weird. Then the 20th of December, I think this was that day because it was the day I handed in my thesis. We got a terrible batch of cards with Giannis. Giannis was ridiculously good though, so it made up for it. However, one of the funniest things about this batch of cards was that they made every one of these cards 6'4". As you guys can see, Jerry West, 6'2". Just going through his badges and stuff for his Pink Diamond. However, you went to this Jerry West here, he was 6'4". They literally made every single card, whether they were taller or smaller, it didn't matter. They made every single card in this set 6'4", which is mad. Like, literally every single one of them 6'4", no taller, no smaller. Whoever it was putting these cards in the game just made a huge mistake, and it didn't make a difference to the cards. They were all 6'4". Then this Giannis card, man, at the time he was just game breaking. He had everything except range extender. He had half quick for his step. He had half clamps. He was the best defender in the game. He was the best rim runner in the game. He was the best hop step in the game. And his jump shot was cash at the time. Obviously outdated, but was great at the time. Later on that day, 2K actually added Zach Randolph and Kirk Heinrich into TT offline boards. And the first time they really gave us some really good cards, TT offline boards. However, the Dion Waiters card they put on the TT online boards was next level. He was legitimately my point guard till like February. Till that Jeremy Lin came out, he was in my squad. That Dion Waiters card, as a Ruby card, was unbelievable, lads. He was unbelievable. He took ages to Evo. He was not an easy Evo. That's all I'm going to say. He took a day. It was a day at least Evo him up to Diamond. It was not an easy job. But he had everything. He had 35 gold badges. He had clamps, range extender, quick draw, quick for his step. He could handle the ball. He was unreal, lads. He is unreal. And even as a Diamond, he was still unbelievable till like February. Like, as far as Rubies go, he was in that conversation with Dante DiVincenzo. But like, he was my was he my backup point guard or my starting two guard? I can't remember, for 250k when I was finishing top 50 in January. Like, this card was absolutely ridiculous. He was one of the best cards in the game when he came out. And funny, he was the lowest rated of them all, but he was the best by a mile. Then Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve, lads. Ray Allen, Tracy McGrady, and the gigantic Yao Ming. Charles Oakley, a criminally underrated card because of Hoff Intimidator and clamps and everything. Criminally underrated. But, man, with the behind the back, that T-Mac was game breaking. He was the best card in the game and it wasn't even close. Like, I'm not sure there's been any, like, bigger gap between T-Mac and the next best as there has been between any two cards, first and second best cards in the game since then. It was absolutely ridiculous how good that card was. Then we obviously knew Zion was coming in some way on Christmas Day, but lads, these cards were game changing. They were so much better than what we had before that everyone was running Ray Allen and T-Mac as their 2 and 3. Then we got a Christmas code. I can't believe I had to use the word litmus. Legitimately some like Jake Paul type code, but it got us one of the best locker codes we'd ever seen at the time. So at that stage, if you guys don't know, Paige Stojakovic was going for like 500k because everyone was trying to lock in for that terrible Klay Thompson. The problem with that Klay, again, he was a good card, but he kept matching up the centers and he had steady. But David Thompson was another pretty okay card. He only went for like 20k after the code, but he was going for a little bit before it. He got 75 tokens, which was very hard to get at the time. And then the 30k MT was quite decent, and that Will Chamberlain as well was going for quite a bit. I think he was over 100k as well. So this code was huge. It was either getting like a Zion card, some MT, or a card that at the time was going for over 100k. So I managed to land in for Zion Williamson, and I was kind of happy with it on this account, but in the end, I don't think I ever used the Zion card. But then a couple of days later, Best of 2K20 packs came out for the first time, and this crashed the market like it's never, like it completely crashed it. It completely crashed the market like it had never been seen before at that time. Most cards up to that stage had held their value. However, literally cards were dropping by half their price because twice the amount of them were coming onto the market. It was crazy. So January 1st started off with an update to, I'm pretty sure it was Penny, Grant Hill, and D-Rob. I think all three of them got an update. Can't remember for sure, but I know for a fact they gave Penny Hardaway clamps. So it was like the second upgrade they gave Penny. They gave Penny like 4 different upgrades. It was kind of crazy. Then we got Dirk as our Player of the Month award. Dirk was bad, lads. Dirk was so bad. Like, I get it. They gave him half limitless range, but that release, he was clunky, he was slow, he couldn't play defense. Man, this card was terrible. He was terrible. And even this Dr. J wasn't good. Like, I got this Dr. J on the 1st of January. He was not good. But thankfully, they made up for it by releasing the New Year's resolution packs. This was kind of a sign of where 2K were going to go and that there was going to be absolutely no realism for the rest of the year, because these cards literally were complete a really easy Evo and they become good at whatever they're bad at. So Hito Turkley became a lockdown defender. Hito was godly, that card. Gilbert Arenas became a lockdown defender. DeMar DeRozan became a sniper. Bill Russell became a sharpshooter. Bob Pettit became a worthless still. He was terrible. But Andre Ayton became a sniper. It was crazy. This Bill Russell card as well, 93 3-point shot. Like, I get it. The release, looking at it now, is a really bad release. But at the time, barely any big men could shoot in a quick draw. And I'm not even lying. Most of them could either shoot or had quick draw, not both. Bill Russell had both. As well as that, he could guard people on the perimeter. He was the second best center in the game behind David Robinson at this stage. He could do pretty much everything. Unreal card. Unreal. Then we had the update with flashbacks. J.R. Smith was like, if he had better SIGs, this card would have been ridiculous. He could shoot at clamps. In terms of stats and badges wise, he was the best card in the game and it wasn't even close. However, he had awful dribble SIGs. That Larry Bird, that was ridiculous. And you'll see a little bit later in the month just how ridiculous that Larry Bird was and how big an impact that card made. Then, obviously, the card was unbelievable stats and badges wise, like stuff we had almost never seen before. Like he had half range extender. I'm pretty sure he had half quick draw as well. As well as that, at the time, as you guys can see right there, he could do the explosive. Again, I wasn't a very good dribbler. I could only do it off a Hezi at that stage. It doesn't really matter. Larry could still go and do it. So his dribbling was ridiculous and he was a sniper. Then we get the final moments of the week. So something we were really happy about getting. 2K just randomly said, you know what, we're not going to give it to you anymore. So obviously they weren't making enough money from moments of the week and thought they could find other ways of getting us cards, but that was really disappointing. It was something I really enjoyed. Then we got the Kristaps packs, as well as the final reward Byron Beck, who was terrible for the 250k. That Bargnani card was insane. KP himself was a pretty okay card, and Walt Frazier didn't have Limitless, but he had everything else. But for me, that Bargnani card was in my 250k squad. Then the final week of 250k. As you guys can see, I have like 2,200 points, and that would have gotten me top 10 any other week. And on my way to that 200 points, I beat Uric 111, the guy who qualified all 3 other weeks. I played some of the best 2K I had in my life, and I remember I was really sick playing it, and I hadn't played in days. And I played probably some of the best 2K I had in my life, and I still only got the 47 in the world. No win by less than 30. Just shows how great those guys up the top were. The worst thing about that was, if you guys can see it, Shump missing out by 1 point. Then, the beginning of the end, lads. We just got some moments cards, and a lot of people were like, oh, this isn't too bad. All it meant was moments of the week was over, lads. Moments of the Week is over. I'm pretty sure when they released, they had some Moments of the Week cards still in packs, but I'm pretty sure when that happened, we were told it was over. Then on the Tuesday of that week, the next day, there was a token update. We got J.R. Ryder, who was good. Brook Lopez wasn't, but he could shoot the ball. J.R. Ryder, for me, was fantastic. He was an absolutely fantastic diamond card. Great release. He had good SIGs, and still a card that I've tried to use a little bit to this day, and he hasn't been awful. He has not been awful. We then got Reggie Lewis, who was a god in previous years, but he just became outdated quick because he didn't have range extender, and even like to this day, we still have not seen a better Reggie Lewis. However, Tony Parker. Tony freaking Parker, lads. When the behind the back was in the game, he was the best card in the game, which was absolutely nuts. He was the best card in this game with the behind the back. However, 2K decided to patch the main dribble move literally like 4 days before the 250k tournament. It was madness. It was crazy stuff right there. But for 1 day, this was the best card in the game. Then we got the Jeremy Lin packs a few days later. The behind the back was patched on a Wednesday. These came out on a Friday. Then we got like the Carmelo Anthony card and the Kawhi Leonard card. I remember it hadn't been patched on PC where I was playing, and you could still spam behind the backs even with the new cards, because it took about a week longer for that patch to come, and it was so fun using Kawhi and Melo with that behind the back patch. Then we got the Brandon Roy card as well. This card was unbelievable. Like, he was in my squad till like May. He was class, lads. He could shoot the lights out. He had that T-Mac release. His handle wasn't ideal. He didn't have unpluckable, but at the time it wasn't like unpluckable was as important as it is now to have, but he was quality. He was absolutely quality. And then the 250k tournament was happening. So nobody knew what was going to happen going into the tournament, because everyone's kind of predictions went out the window with the behind the back, because it was the vast majority of people's offense. A lot of people predicted maybe Hollywood could pull it off because he was kind of a play cheeser. Well, not even play cheeser, he was just a play user. Everything's quote unquote cheese. However, the tournament was a bit weird because it was played on such bad lag that it just became a battle of adapting. It became a battle of who can play best while being severely delayed. And fair play to the winners on both systems, which was the Class Guy on Xbox, whose defense pulled him through, and Jomar on PS4. Jomar came through a lot of tight games to get to that, and which I watched an awful lot of. Like Jomar coming through against Splash, did a great job again adapting to the servers. As well as that, you're going to see it a little bit later what happened Jomar versus FSU. Jomar is without question one of the best MyTEAM players this game. But this Pink Diamond Larry Bird card, I told you guys he was going to be iconic. He hit the game winner for Jomar against FSU. A shot, basically a shot that was worth 250,000 because whoever was winning the PS4 side, I'm sorry, was winning the whole thing. Then the Frostbite packs came out to end January. My God, if you bought one of him for 17k, you probably made 100k. Because if you guys don't know, he was over 100k at one stage. AD came out, Magic came out, but in general, not the greatest packs in the world. AD was pretty good, and you could have made a lot of MT on a new Bull, but this Mark Eaton card was not great at the end of the day. So that's it for January. So February starts off with another very disappointing reward card for the 12-0. It was a very bad Moses Malone. So we hadn't really seen a good one of these rewards since Baron Davis. Like, a lot of these cards weren't great. Moses Malone was literally, imagine Bill Russell, but worse at literally everything. That's what Moses Malone was. He was just a much worse Bill Russell. Again, not a card anyone really wanted. Then we got Prime Series 2, where we got a lot of great cards in the Dwayne Wade. Like this Lance Stevenson, man, he was so good. This card was so good. Like, you can still get away with using this card to this day. And he came out before All-Star break. This card could handle, he could shoot, he could rim run, he had half clamps. He had everything, lads. This card was ridiculous for budget players. Even up to like April, May, I was still using budget squads. Also, a fantastic Jimmy Butler came out. Was an unbelievable cone at that stage. Yeah, his release isn't the best on Go Quick Draw, but sure, look, he's got half basically everything else you need. Then there was Dwayne Wade. This is a card you still see people running to this day. To this day, this Dwayne Wade card, I did not know how good he was. Trust me, at this, I did not know how good he was till about April, but my God, this card was good. He had Dwayne Wade base, obviously. Not obviously, Exum doesn't have Exum base, but he had Dwayne Wade base. He was basically a much better Jeff Petrie with elite defense. That's what he was. Half quick draw on that release, one of the best releases in the game, as well as ability got a basket with the Pro 3 behind the back, an elite card. Then we got current Series 2 cards. And these cards were nothing. Like, they were literally just a way to build up card collector level. But at the time, we did not know what these were going to be. We didn't. Because of the way 2K quote-unquote leaked them, we didn't know if these cards were going to be like 2K adding them into the game, like team by team. We didn't know whether they were going to be like upgraded versions of the current cards. But it didn't take us too long. Later that night in MTDB, they had all of the cards on the site. So we realized kind of quickly that they were literally just current roster cards. But we were very, very kind of like confused. We were intrigued more than anything. Like, a couple of my videos on these got high views because we didn't necessarily expect them to be anything great. But we were intrigued. We were wondering what they were. And a couple of people, I think it was Shake, said basically his prediction was that they were just going to be slightly upgraded current cards, and they would overtake, or they take over from current cards, and he was completely right. So not that relevant in the end, but you know what, they're better than normal current NBAs, be some of quick draw, I guess. Then we have got the 250k tournament. So this was interesting. This was Jomar versus the Class Guy, and Jomar walked this. Like, I get it, the second game was kind of close, but I'd never watched the Class Guy play before. He was playing on Xbox. He had the home field advantage because of the delay on Xbox. And Jomar still, I feel, came out very, very comfortable. Class Guy made a little bit of a comeback in game 2, but at the end of the day, Jomar just had too much from him in both games, despite having a significantly worse team. So one very interesting thing was, though, at this event, there was meant to be like locker codes for like Ben Simmons, and the locker code just got completely leaked. People guessed all the codes, and people got a Kobe Bryant mystery pack that no one knew. To this day, no one still knows what it was for. It was for a random like blank Ruby Kobe Bryant, but the code was like 8 Kobe 24 for a Kobe mystery pack, and people still to this day don't know what it was from. And that all happened during the stream. As well as that, they leaked the fact that Galaxy Opal MJ and point guard LeBron were going to come. So the market's tanked during this stream. Like, not many people watched the stream for that, but a lot of people knew about these cards because of it. And a lot of people were like making a bunch of MT, selling cards, and buying low, selling high, based off a stream that was going on. So it had a huge effect on the game, despite not a lot. Like, there was a small extra people that really cared about the winner, but a lot of people were caring about this. What we see right here. Michael Jordan Opal. Point guard LeBron. The fact we didn't get an Opal until the 5th of May in 2K19. Then we got a packable Opal in the middle of February. Yeah, we knew the way this year was going to go. Then we got the Diamond Miles Bridges. And this was, I think, the first 25 intangible diamond card we saw. This card had like 90 plus and everything. He was like a demi at the time. He was absolutely ridiculously good at the time. Then we got Bam Adebayo. Bam Adebayo was a 6'10" speed boosting center with range extender and quick draw who could handle. Like, it was ridiculous. Like, this was February. Like, these were cards that, had they come out in 2K19 in like May, people would have said these cards were insane. But it kind of shows the way the year went with when these cards were coming out in February. Then there was Kawhi Leonard, who still to this day is usable. Imagine if we knew about Pro 8 back then. If we knew about Pro 8 back when this card came out, you better believe people would have been tweening up and down the floor with this guy. He would have been the best card in the game by a mile. He was still elite, but like, he would have been the best by a country mile if people knew about how to do Pro 8. He still is a more than usable card, and is a great card. Then also that weekend, Junior the HBK was the first person ever to get the fireball in NBA 2K20. Not gonna lie, it is one of the most off-putting things I've ever used in game. I've used the fireball plenty of times. It is so off-putting. However, it is a great novelty, and he got it months before anyone else, I'm pretty sure. Then the Kevin Durant packs came out. I can't believe, looking back on it, this is the one card I was so shocked came out so early, was that this KD card came out in February. He was basically 95 plus in everything, and had KD's release on half quick draw, had like half clamps could handle. He came out in February. Like, he was so good for the time. And then buzzer beater packs came out a couple of days later. I can't even remember. I'm pretty sure those KD packs, they came out like a Thursday, and buzzer beater was Tuesday, I think, maybe the next week. Paul Pierce was one of the last cards in this game to come out with steady shooter. Steph Curry wasn't great. That Chris Webber was one of the first big men to come out in the game with Hall of Fame quick first step. So he was a novelty for about 3 days because no center set clamps. So yeah, this pack was okay. And then another batch of content came out. Basically, Dwight Howard was Chris Webber, but pretty much better at everything. That Tracy McGrady card still to this day is quality. That Paul George card is quality. That Free Rex Chapman card is insane. Hamidou Diallo, the best Sapphire in the game. Like, these guys were all unbelievable dunkers because of leap year, as well as that 2K like juiced up most of their defensive stats. And at the time, even like Lonzo and Kawhi and Dwight were incredible. And then we got an upgrade to Dr. J. To end the month of February, the worst opal probably in the game. Actually, no, he was up there with the worst opal in the game. He was terrible. Suddenly he got an upgrade to make him more usable. This is the state he's in now, I'm pretty sure. But this card was really, really good after this upgrade. He was actually really good after being terrible before it. So the month of March, the reward was a fantastic Galaxy Opal James Worthy. A card that definitely has become outdated over time, but man, this card was so nice. He was a card that I was a huge fan of. I still am. Like, if you tell me to use James Worthy in a limited game, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's fine. I'll use him. He's still a great base 11 player. Still got a really good release. And then, like 2 days later, they came out with AK, who's just a better Worthy. And also, point guard Giannis. The 6th of March. 6th of March. This card is still one of the top 10 point guards in this game. He came on the 6th of March. The game died. The game ended on the 6th of March. When the game was literally about getting Giannis or countering Giannis. Like, this Giannis card, he had range, he had everything. He still is elite. He has the glitchy behind the back, he had the hop step. His release on goal quick draw is fine. He is still an elite card. And this card is kind of beginning at the end for any sort of realism in 2K. However, look, I don't think anyone can really expect realism in my team. Then, like, the next Tuesday, we got Kareem. Kareem was ridiculous. He's still to this day usable. Not quite as good as Giannis, but if you have Kareem, he'll still play defense. Like, he was arguably the best center in this game until Glitch Shaq came out a month later. Actually, that was only about 3 weeks later. He was still a top 5 center in this game until the other Kareem came out in June. And then the 13th of March. This day, the reason I know this day so well was because the schools shut in Ireland on the 12th of March. So this was my first day technically doing YouTube full time because my teaching placement was finished. And this day we got Galaxy Opal Simmons, who no one realized had an Evo at the time, to give him a 93-point shot. As well as that, we had the Aaron Baines, who was an insane budget card because he could shoot the ball from deep. We got a great token reward batch. Levine, who was insane at the time. Josh Smith, who held up quite well in the grand scheme of things. And Jonathan Isaac, who was the best diamond in the game at the time. We also had Thon Maker, who was an unbelievable Ruby at the time. He was just a way better version of the Chris Webber card. Yeah, a lot of these cards are outdated. Yeah, the only ones of these cards that I still consider usable are Ben Simmons and Josh Smith and maybe Zach LaVine. However, at the time, this batch of cards was absolutely ridiculous. From the Amethyst token award to Eric Harper, who's insane, to the Diamond Jonathan Isaac. And the one thing that really went under the radar was that 2K actually gave out a free pink diamond card in TTO, and I'm pretty sure it's the first time they did it. They gave out the free pink diamond Marcus Camby, who was not terrible at the time. Don't get me wrong, like, this card became outdated very quick because the 12th or the 13th of March, I believe, was the real power creep. I think that was when people started really getting just juiced cards. But he had quick first step at the time. He could handle it moderately well. He could blow by people and he could hit the wide open three. I felt that he was a really good card and really underrated. However, most people would not use this card in any sort of a serious manner. Then we had St. Patrick's Day cards. There was a few alright ones, like Bird was alright, Kyrie was terrible, Havlicek was alright, and Bradley was alright. But again, it was just St. Patrick's Day cards. Then the next night, the night of the 18th of March, we all had 2K Empty Central open wondering what the hell Spotlight Sims were. We saw a bunch of these diamond cards. We did not know what they were. We knew they were free because they were reward cards. We also saw the Galaxy Opal James Harden. We saw the Ingram, we saw the Siakam. We did not know what these cards were going to be. We didn't. There were so many assumptions. And one of the funniest things was, like, we looked at the stats, we were generally right with the best cards, like Rocco, Brogdon, Reddish, Porter. One of the funniest things about these cards right here was that they missed the launch time by about 20 minutes. So the next day, we all like assumed that the cards were coming and they just didn't come. but they were about 20 minutes late, and people were going crazy. There was like two sides. There was the I can't believe they didn't release it, and they're after just trying to frustrate us. And then there was the other side being like, maybe these were never meant to come out, and people just mined them on a database site. So it was kind of like a hilarious argument between people in the 2K community. But no, in the end, we got the cards, and people played a lot of this game. There were people that did not sleep for days. However, the next day, these cards came out. Like, I'm sorry, but like these cards came out, and Harden wasn't even updated at the time. So like the best cards in that previous one were the likes of Cam Reddish, Kevin Porter. I think I had them all almost straight away. And then this Campus Legends set came out, who had DiVincenzo, who was better than most of the diamonds. Still to this day is better. They had Danny Manning, who was better than nearly all the cards, who was like 6k MT. Melo, who I think was very overrated. That Magic was incredible. And Cat, who I think, apart from the fact he was really slow, was actually a pretty decent card. As well as that, we got our first Galaxy Opal, Dan Issel, in TT Offline, or TT Online. And then, on the Tuesday, we got our final Prime Series 2 pack in the following week. So, like, the amount of content in March was crazy. And I think a big reason for that was quarantine. Like, it was kind of middle to the end of March. It was when people were first starting to get into lockdown and everyone was buying the game. So the Kevin Garnett card was insane at the time. Still is a really good card. Big O was alright. Then the either next day or the following day, I'm not entirely sure if it was Wednesday or Thursday, we got Spotlight Sim Moments cards. And we got a whole bunch of them. And these cards were good, man. Like, Gallinari was great, and so was Lance. Then it was leaked. They leaked fan favorite packs in the park. And you better believe we all went nuts over these cards. Like, we had Bol who could speed boost. We had a Tago Fall that could shoot threes, who's an opal. We had Scalabrini, a Manute Ball, a Boban Marjanovic before they patched post hooks, who could literally just post hook people to death. And then there was Bonga, who every budget player needed in their squad. Heck, again, had we known about Pro 8 back then, Bonga would be even better. Bonga can Pro 8 cheese with the best of them. So yeah, a kind of crazy way to end March with what was at the time the best batch of cards by a mile we'd seen in MyTEAM. So then we were on to April, where Wilt Chamberlain was the Player of the Month award. Wilt Chamberlain was good, man. This card was good. So he could speed boost. He had a terrible release though. He had Set Shot 17, which is the slowest release in the game. Not a card that I was the biggest fan of, especially because of another card which came out a few days later, which I believe was just Wilt better. However, I still did grind out this card. It was rough. It was a rough 2 days before I got this card, and it was when I first started to overall cheese because I was just sick of playing this game online. But Wilt, again, he kind of had everything defensively, but offensively was quite limited. And then the next day, career highlights cards came out. We didn't know what they were. We thought they were going to be something serious. We thought maybe this was how they're going to give us Kobe. And in reality, career highlights cards, I don't think any of them, apart from maybe the Opal Duo, are even usable, and maybe T-Mac. Like, these cards were terrible. Then we got the Luka Doncic cards. The Luka Doncic Prime packs. Porzingis was alright. Doncic was okay. Sharif at the time was alright. However, we all know who the best of these cards were. It was Dino. Dino is literally just Wilt, but better. Almost same wingspan. He could move better. He could shoot better. He could do everything better than Wilt, and he was not that expensive. Then there was the All-Star Team Up. The only reason I'm talking about this was because there is a lot of prominent 2K creators. So basically, there was an All-Star Team Up game that was played. I can't remember when it was. The draft was the first night of WrestleMania. The game was the second night of WrestleMania. Can't remember anything. Can't remember the dates, but that's all I remember. Because the only reason I was awake for this draft was because WrestleMania was on. And my team was me, Jay, Bio, Ty, and Most Ballin. And game one, it was a best of 3 series. Game one, we were pretty much in control the whole way. Me using LeBron, I managed to kick the ball to Mose, who hit a huge shot in the corner. Like, I was playing on serious delay right here, but man, both teams were in a horrible state. None of us knew what we were doing. We were running triple screens, running 5 people to the basket. It got a little bit better for game 3 though. Game 2 though, we got killed. Straight up. Caldy was cooking us. Denver was cooking us. Like, YBC was killing us. We got absolutely demolished in game 2. However, game 3, we were back in control. We were back in control basically because we all got out of the way and let Ty be Ty. And then the 2K algo. We got hit with an illegal screen, and then whatever the hell this was, the Hacker Shack rule giving them a free throw, it just kind of went crazy. But again, we let Ty be Ty until, for some reason, the game made him shoot a full court shot and also didn't let Jay catch the ball. So then, last play of the game, they have a wide open 3, but Caldy steps inside the line, misses the 2 anyway, which was a good win for Team DBG right there. So yeah, a couple of days later, we got Shaq. We got Shaquille O'Neal. This Shaq card, honestly, I thought he was going to be one of the best cards in the game, and he is like a C tier opal right now with the amount of ridiculous cards we've gotten. This Shaq had like limitless, could dribble. Yeah, he had a slow release, but this is better than last year Shaq, who was the best card in the game. However, this card is not even the top 50 cards this year. It's crazy. And then April the 11th, the infamous Deep Hash tutorial came out. So Ty, basically after winning the Global Championship, started making YouTube videos. So he started doing some tutorials, and some people knew about Deep Hash, but a lot more did after this tutorial. He had already made the bait defense tutorial, which changed the way the game was played defensively, and I have to mention it. It is such an iconic part of this game. But the Deep Hash tutorial on April the 11th changed this game forever. I could mention his dribble glitch tutorial, but that's very recent. But yeah, the Deep Hash one was huge. Then, Kobe Day. Or Mamba Day. Lads, do you guys remember this? Do you guys remember Mamba Day? It was mad. That's all I'm going to say. It was mad. So, basically, I think I had like 3,500 people on my stream waiting for Kobe. It was nuts. So, basically, what we were doing was, we were waiting for a Kobe card. We assumed the Opal was going to come, and then they released the Pink Diamond Kobe, and it was terrible. Like, it was absolutely terrible. And then Brian Mazik, who's like a writer for Forbes, he was tweeting like an Opal Kobe is coming, and he meant an Opal Kobe is coming some stage in the future. But we all took it as an Opal Kobe is coming that day. So we were literally like I was sitting on the stream with like 4,000 people just sitting on Brian Mazik's Twitter waiting for him to reply, because we all thought he knew something more. But no, we just had a terrible Kobe. However, it was not long until we got the better Kobe. Let's just say that much. But yeah, it's kind of funny thing to look back on now, but we were so angry that day. Let's be real. Then the Hito packs came out, and I was happy. I was so happy when Hito packs came out, because Hito is a god. Still is. And also, the same day Hito packs came out, 2K, I'm pretty sure, accidentally put Tracy McGrady on TTO boards. Like, there was this code right here for a Prime pack, a Diamond, or a Amethyst TMAC. However, for some reason, the Opal TMAC started just randomly appearing on TTO boards. So, all Tracy McGrady's were on the boards. I think I pulled, was it 3 of the Pink Diamonds? I didn't get any of the Opals, but I know some people got 4 or 5 of the Opals, and they sold them for 500k each and had millions of MT. I sold my 3 TMACs for 100k each, and had 300k, which was huge for me at the time, because I didn't have much. And then that same day, 2K made the question mark collection. We knew what it was for, lads. We knew what it was for. Like, every single person, everyone who had ever watched this game knew that this was going to be for Kobe. They knew there was no other way, that whatever there was going to be some sort of spotlight sim, some sort of challenges. No one knew exactly what it was going to be, but everyone knew this was for Kobe. Like, it was the most obvious thing ever. No, they were never going to put Kobe in packs, and everyone pretty much knew what this was for. But there was a lot of intrigue on what it was, and there was a lot of excitement. Everyone assumed it was going to be Kawhi, but in fact it wasn't. It was not Kawhi. Then there was historic spotlight sims. So we assumed that they were going to come out on the Monday. 2K said, nah, we're not giving you them on the Monday. And they were put onto the database later that night. So none of these cards were great, to be completely honest. And Walter Davis was handy. That's all I'm going to say. Like, he was handy enough. A lot of these other cards, like Robert Reed, Jeff Mullins, were just for the rosters. Thorough was at the time. I'm not going to say Thorough was anything spectacular. Sigma did a job. The Mullen and Gilbert cards weren't great. And honestly, the Kobe cards were not the best. But this was a huge grind. Like, people were staying up. Like, I think I was up 40 hours straight. And yeah, so this was a bit of a strange situation, and I'll be the first to admit it. Like, I've even said it to the guy, I was completely in the wrong. But it was the glitched Opal Kobe fiasco. So basically, it was a 5-day grind, basically, or a 3 or 4 day grind. I can't remember what it was. But randomly, on the second day of the 3 to 4 day grind, all of a sudden there was a hacked Kobe Bryant card that appeared on a PC account. So everyone was kind of like, what the hell is going on? Especially, like, nobody had slept in days. Everyone was like on edge, being like, all this is for nothing, all this grind, all this is for nothing, and got very angry for absolutely no reason. We all, myself included, got angry for about a half an hour till I realized how just dumb I was being. Got angry at RJ for putting out the video. It's like something that we all would have done. We all would have done it. So yeah, either way though, the video was absolutely quality. But yeah, the glitched Kobe Bryant fiasco. So basically, this card right here was the Galaxy Opal Go Kobe. He had 99 every. This was the most anticipated card in MyTEAM history. I don't think there was a more anticipated card, especially because the vast majority of large creators were on some sort of a grind for the card. I think I was splitting it with somebody else, making videos, and then when I wasn't making videos, playing. So I think I've been up for like 40 hours straight. So like it was a crazy grind to get this card first, and honestly, it wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it. Like, this card was not good, and you see it from this gameplay. Like, RJ is a 250k qualifier. RJ Watson was a 250k qualifier, one of the best players at this game in the world, especially on the Xbox side. And there was some sort of a weird hitch. Later on, thankfully, they got rid of the hitch. But, man, there is no more disappointing card in this game than the Opal Kobe. This was a card that I wanted so badly, put in so much work to get this card. And you can even see it, like, RJ had used Kobe Bryant's Diamond card the entire time, and he barely missed with Kobe Bryant's Diamond. However, he was really struggling on half quick draw, and it was really because of a weird load-up animation. There was a hitch in the jump shot for Kobe, and you got used to it after a while. You definitely did, but it was so off-putting the first couple of times you used him. Like, you had to get used to his release timing. You couldn't even look at Kobe, because if you were looking at him, it would all be, like, thrown off. But at the end of the day, it still was a good card. I just felt that I already had Brandon Roy, who was doing more for me. I think there was a few other guys, including Nick Batum, that were doing a bit more for me. Disappointing, but either way, the glitch Kobe fiasco, it's something we can look back and laugh on. But I was 100% on the wrong side of the fence with that debate. Not gonna lie. However, the day Kobe came out, these cards came out as well. Well, the day people legitimately got Kobe for the first time. Like LeBron James point guard, which is insane, and Thon Maker point guard. As well as that, we had Draymond Green point guard, who was a ridiculous card. We had Dennis Rodman, who could clamp people up. Dennis Rodman's release was awful. His dribble sticks were awful. If he had a better release and better dribble sticks, he might have been the best card in the game at that stage, because his defense was ridiculous. He had every Hall of Fame defensive badge. He was insane on that end of the floor. However, they did come out with much better versions of that card, so that was kind of good. However, the day after these cards came out, the auction house resetting happened. I can't remember, I think it was about a week. The auction house just randomly reset at times. As you guys can see, nothing for within 3 hours. In randomly 2 hours and 12 minutes. If you managed, like, there was ways, I don't know how you did it, but some people were managing to find ways of getting into the actual auction house, and suddenly cards were ending for, like, say LeBron was going for $1 million. You could buy LeBron for 200k. It was the weirdest thing ever. The auction house was broken. Then we got our best batch of free cards. I think it was the first time we'd ever gotten 3 free Galaxy Opals. We gotten 1 or 2, but we ended up getting 3 of them. We got like Tiny Archibald, Spencer Haywood from TT Offline. Neither of these were good, by the way. However, the TT Online reward was fantastic, and it was Kiki Vandeweghe. Kiki wasn't quite as good as he was in 2K19 with that base 11. However, he still had a handle. He had an 85 on-ball seal tendency. He was great. However, the next day was when the thread came up on 2K Gamer. So a lot of people were like looking at certain cards like LeBron and being like, why are all of these 1.3 million? And the reason why they're 1.3 million is the same reason as this. Like, I remember, if you guys can find this video, I can't remember what video this is from, which is why I have this picture in, because I couldn't actually find the video again on my channel, but you could scroll to the 4-hour mark and every single Jaren Jackson Jr. is 34k exactly. So literally there was somebody buying every Jaren Jackson Jr. and putting them all up for 34k. And not one person could do that. As soon as one of them went up, bought it. It was a bot. Like, it was a bot. It was being bought by the coin farmers, and they were being price fixed. However, it became even more noticeable and a bigger deal when it became with certain cards like these. So the reason why all of them are 1.3 million, 1 million is because people are bidding that, and they're just saying you're not the highest bidder. But the funny thing is that from the second the LeBron card gets put up, there is a bid of like 1.x million on every single one. And not one person has had enough MT to bid on every single LeBron James card. Over $1 million. Like, it would cost you about 30-40 million MT to price fix these all. So it's obviously a company that was doing it. However, there was a thread on 2K Gamer. It was the exact same thing with Shaq. Basically, of somebody, he shared like the Chinese 2K forums, where, again, there's no actual proof of it, but it seems highly likely that he's correct, where they were basically saying that the coin farmers or the coin sites were completely manipulating the market to drive up the price of cards so people buy more MT. There is nothing illegal about what they're doing. Yeah, selling MT is against terms of service, but at the end of the day, if you have all the MT, it's a genius thing by them. And if these coin sites weren't doing this, I'd be shocked, because these companies, if they weren't doing this, it wouldn't be smart. But unfortunately, I just pray that this does not keep going on to 2K21. Otherwise, it's going to be so difficult to afford expensive cards. Then, on the last day of the month, we found out about Glen Rice's SIGs. We found out about how great Glen Rice is going to be, and so many people were hyped up about this card coming out on the 1st of May. And on the 30th of April, one of the biggest things in 2K20 happened. And it's a random thread on a forum. The SIGs, MyTEAM card SIGs thread by Kenny MacK69 on 2K Gamer. This is the thread that completely changed MyTEAM. This is the thread that made people start to look at SIGs, start to see what SIGs were good and compare them with all other cards, to know if cards were good before you bought them, if they were going to have good animations. This thread was the thing which really started off the chain of events which led to 2K Gamer, or 2KDB, the best database site being made. This thread right here might be the most iconic thread in NBA 2K MyTEAM history, and not might, it 100% is. So May started off with a pretty decent batch of cards. Like, we had the Odom card. However, the best card by a mile in this was the Eddie Curry. Man, this Eddie Curry card, when he came, he's outdated right now, but when he came out, man, he was this speed boosting demi center with base 38, which is the fastest release in the game. He could quick stop, he couldn't tween, but he had pretty decent dribble moves. He had to go behind the back. He could get to the basket well. This card was just ridiculous. And it was Eddie Curry of all people. Eddie freaking Curry, lads. He was insane. Then 2K came out with a bunch of dynamic duos. And again, just like most of the time this year, duos are worthless. Like, they don't add extra badges. So most of the time they give duos to guys with like no range or no certain badges, and it doesn't help anything. Then we got the Evo update. Finally Penny Hardaway didn't have 77 lateral quickness. Finally. Like, he got Hall of Fame clamps. Again, that's quite a big thing, but he no longer had 77 lateral quickness. He now played defense. He was still terrible, but he now played defense. Then we got D-Rob, who would have been absolutely incredible had they not kept him with Steady Shooter. They upgraded Steady to Hall of Fame. Not a badge that I am a fan of whatsoever, but at the end of the day, it was a well-needed upgrade to make an almost worthless card pretty good because they gave him range extender. And then Fan Favorites 2 came out. So lads, Dean Wade. That's all that matters. Dean freaking Wade. We got him. Dean Wade, I do not know how we managed to get Dean Wade a card. Dean Wade was a meme on the channel because of his bronze card cooking me one time in a game. And I started using him in a load of my squad, just putting him on the end of my bench. I still to this day cannot believe we managed to get Dean Wade a card. And not only that, we managed to get Dean Wade an Evo Pink Diamond, which was absolutely nuts. And then, lads, the great locker code fiasco of 2K20. So basically, Bish said that he had a Lin code. He didn't. And he milked it for all it was worth. Like, for me anyway, I think this was hilarious to an extent. Like, this initial thing saying he lost the code and everything was hilarious. But one of the things was that it wasn't actually a code for Lin. He actually, like, I'm saying this right now, Ambish showed me the email he received, and I've been giving away creator codes. It is definitely confusing the way it's written. So I can kind of see where that mistake came from. But the stream was an absolute disaster. After a little while, the stream definitely took a turn for the worst. And as much as bad as it was a look on Bish, like, I'm not going to try to defend him, the amount of like death threats and racist stuff in his chat, the fact he responded angrily and quote unquote started losing it on stream, in that specific scenario, you can kind of see how it would happen to someone. If you're getting racist messages non-stop, if you're getting death threats non-stop over a virtual code, you can kind of see why you might snap. However, at the end of the day, this was one of the craziest things that happened. So whatever way it happened, there was beef between him and Phantoms. He decided to let that out on stream. He just let rip. Like, anything that he had been holding in, anything that was on his mind, he just went. He was angry. He saw red and just took out his anger on everybody he had a problem with in the past. So it was kind of a mad stream. There were 7,000 people watching it, and while it's definitely not something that I'd ever want to see, because having to watch that stream, having to see the stuff that was being said to him and about him, and the fact people still haven't gotten over it, it still is an iconic moment, and I kind of have to mention it. So it turns out that the code was for a pack. It was for a pack, lads. Ambush was trending 15 on Twitter. And not only that, Nick the Bulls fan somehow came back after this stream, and like I can make an entire section on his waffle streams after this. So like it's unless you were there at the time, you can't really describe exactly what happened in that week from this stream for the following week with what happened in terms of like old 2K YouTubers on Twitch, but it was weird. Then in May, MyTEAM Madness ran their first tournament. So I know a lot of us when MyTEAM Madness were first messaging us all about playing a tournament. We didn't know what it was about. We didn't really know who was running the tournaments. However, I'm going to say this right now. MyTEAM Madness have done an incredible job for a competitive MyTEAM. Not only them, MyTEAM League as well, run by Preview, have done a really good job. MyTEAM Madness have done a great job kind of promoting the tournament as kind of legitimizing it, taking an entry fee so that they can pay out big prize money as well. It means that people are playing now for money. It is a kind of huge thing, and fair play to them. So in May, their very first tournament was played, and the final was Isaac versus Ty. So Ty is definitely more well known, especially because of his presence on YouTube. So a lot of people thought this was going to be a walkover for Ty, but even Ty will say it himself, so will Isaac, that either of them can beat either of them on their day. They're both two of the best players in the world. And this game was so close right to the end. Going down to the wire in game 3, Ty started to make a little bit of a comeback, but Isaac stayed composed. He stayed composed and he played really well. Hit his shots down the stretch, and congratulations to Isaac being the first MyTEAM Madness winner. Be interesting to see, well, Ty won the last MyTEAM Madness, and be interesting to see who wins the last one. The next day, they came out with packs, and they came out with these decade packs, and they completely crashed the market for about 15 minutes. And I'm not even kidding. When everyone saw these packs, they crashed the market for about 15 minutes when people realized, oh, these are VC packs. And everyone just started buying cards again. Then they came out with takeover packs. Go Jordan, man, it was right after the last dance, so everyone kind of knew Go Jordan was going to be coming. But again, a ridiculously good card. That Giannis card still to this day is insane. Chris Bosh is still pretty good. The Dwayne Wade Diamond card was the best budget card we'd ever seen until that stage. And it was an absolutely ridiculous card. Like, I still can't believe that we got that card so cheap so early in the game. Then, not really MyTEAM related, but that same night was the basically the national championship for Irish Play Now. Not MyTEAM related, but I'm throwing this in there, a bit of self-promo. It was the same day as I pretty much won the national championship, so I think I'm technically I am the only person in Irish basketball history to win a underage national cup, adult national cup, senior level, as well as an esports national cup. And then this happened, lads. This happened. This might have been earlier on in the month, it might have been later in the month. I can't remember the exact date this was found, but there's no point even showing a video because this picture shows what it is. The lineup glitch. You click on your point guard and then you click down a few times to your center. The game won't start. Because of the way position locks work, they have it done so that you're in a situation where, I don't know, maybe your point guard isn't playing point guard or something, and the game wouldn't start because of it. Like, you literally had to sit there. You had to sit there until your opponent either quit the game or you quit the game. Sometimes people would glitch people 10 hours at 11-0 to try and get automatic wins. It was crazy. And this glitch, man, it literally made my team unplayable for days. It was an absolute joke what this was. Then we got 7-foot tall E. Like, 7 foot. He wasn't that he was anything spectacular. He was just a 7-foot tall small forward, and he wasn't even a glitch card. Like, this card wasn't that the greatest in the world. It wasn't that relevant in the grand scheme of things, but it was just madness that this card was a thing. Then we got the Opal T-Mac in his flashbacks. These cards right here, like, I like this T-Mac. I don't think he was enough an upgrade over the Campus Legends, or not Campus Legends, the Flight School. Not Flight School, that was last year. The Leap Year packs. We got 2-guard Dirk, which was ridiculous. And then Wes Unseld, who legitimately was a center. He won an NBA MVP as a center. They made Wes Unseld a point guard. A point guard. Like, madness. Joe Cheeto was a great card in this set. And then we got the next day, in a really weird one, we got new token cards on a Saturday. Yeah, this was odd. DeMar DeRozan was incredible. Pettit was pretty good. I never liked DeMar. Ja wasn't great. None of the pink diamonds were good. However, those 2 diamond cards, Paul Westphal and Alfonso Ellis, were godly. Westphal was better Pete Maravich, and Alfonso Ellis was better Spencer Dinwiddie. Funnily enough, they're both Westphal basically a Maravich clone, Ellis a Dinwiddie clone, which is mad. But yeah, that's it for the month. So now we are on to June. So there was kind of 2 player of the month awards. There was Jerry Lucas, and then a lot of people had Rudy. So Jerry Lucas was one most people were excited for because we knew about his SIGs and we knew he had weight base. However, his upper just made him awkward. As well as that, he felt sluggish. There was something weird about this card. I don't know what it was. There was just something weird about it. The release, I couldn't do anything with this release. Give me Thad Young over Jerry Lucas 10 days out of 10. But I don't know. A lot of people liked the card, I didn't. However, Rudy was the best card in the game. He was one of the best cards in the game at this stage. He was unbelievable. He's still ridiculous. I still use him in my squad. And we have gotten all the juiced cards. I still use him in my squad for one reason and one reason only. He's at Pro 8. Again, Pro 8, an unbelievable release. His quick stop jumper is nice. His dunking is insane. He can do everything. He's got an unbelievable hop step. But Pro 8 was a huge thing. Terrible behind the back, by the way. Terrible. But so many cards. Like, you don't need necessarily go behind the back if you've got Pro 8. It was kind of just crazy. And again, the easiest dribble glitch in the game. He can shoot the ball really well as a cone. He's a great defender. And then 2K the next day randomly took the hitches out of everybody's jump shots, which was great. So Carmelo Anthony, who had a hitch in his shot, no longer had a hitch. Kobe Bryant, who I talked earlier about having a hitch in his shot, no longer had a hitch. Base 11 cards, especially James Worthy and Danny Manning, who previously had massive hitches in their jump shot. They didn't have them anymore. So it basically made every card's jump shot way, way smoother, which helped a lot of not great cards. Then we found out about on-ball steal tendency. This ended up being one of the most important things for this game. And it was the big reason why people found out about it was because of how bad Kobe Bryant felt on defense, and also how good the Galaxy Opal, Michael Jordan, who was barely better than him stats-wise on defense, felt. And we realized fairly quickly that steal tendency was the huge difference. So it became something that people started looking at for defensive cards. And now basically every card is 100 because low steal tendency means people won't care about the card. Then we got the throwback moments cards. I'm going to just talk about them once here because they're irrelevant. Gordon Hayward was a bit of an interesting story because he came out and he had pretty good stats and SIGs, and then he also had steady shooter and people weren't excited and they took steady shooter off him. But other than that, there's nothing really about these cards. They were just kind of token cards that were thrown in. Then Kawhi Leonard Prime cards came out. These came out early. I'm pretty sure. I think these came out on a Tuesday. On Monday, we got the throwback cards. These came out on the Tuesday. This was actually a huge, huge week for my team in terms of content. Trust me. Like, we got the Embiid, we got Siakam, who were insane. We got the Kawhi Leonard, who was unbelievable as well. George Gervin was good. But within a couple of days, the amount these cards dropped in price was crazy. The amount like Embiid and stuff dropped price. Like, Embiid was arguably the best center in the game to that point. However, later that day, they leaked Showtime packs. They leaked Showtime packs in the PSN store. And it was probably the first time they'd leaked packs this year. But they would go on to do it a few more times. And yeah, people knew about that Kareem card, the Go card. People knew what Go cards were like. And we were all worried you're getting a 99 overall everything Kareem, which we got. However, before that, we got the all-time or the final Spotlight Sims. So these did not take too long to get whatsoever. Like, these were handy enough to get. I'm pretty sure, I think Energenic was the first person to finish this. Ned5 was the first person. Followed by Pro Ballers, then Energenic. Pro Ballers, I think, was the first person to get Kobe. And then, yeah, we managed to get all these cards in our squad. This Larry Bird card was ridiculous, by the way. He was absolutely ridiculous. He was incredible. And he came out, I think, on the Wednesday. And I think it was by the Thursday, most people that were going to get this card had the card. So an awful lot of people had him. And then the Showtime cards came out. Danny Manning was great. There was a lot of decent cards in this pack. However, this Kareem was the best card in my team history at the time. It's mad that I had to say at the time, because a 7'2" demigod with a dribble glitch behind the back, is no longer the best card in my team history. Like, I can't believe it. That obviously Yao Ming exists, but this card still to this day is ridiculous. Still the second best card in my team by a mile. Behind the back, that release, he's still absolutely incredible. However, the coin sites were back in full force. They were back in full force. Every single Rashard Lewis had a 1.5 million exact bid on them. So no matter what you bid, you were getting outbid until you bid exactly 1.5 million. So you see these had 1.4 million with like 18 minutes to go, and there were so many of them. Every single one of them was bid up by a coin site. So no matter how far you went, they all had those high bids on them. But a lot of people had the MT as well. And then suddenly it goes to like 100k. But whatever you tried to bid on any of those, you were still going to be outbid up to 1.5 million. Trust me on that one. We saw it later on in that day. However, one of the funny things was that they were all ending at like 1.52 million. So they were only ending one bid above the coin sites every single time, which was very fishy. Then they came out with Evo Super Packs. And these cards right here were okay. They were okay. Ben Wallace was a great Evo. But I was never really that big on Evos, to be completely honest. Like, Dean Wade's Evo, which came out a little bit later than this, I was a big fan of. But until then, like obviously the Rose and stuff earlier on in the year, I didn't think these were great. But Dean Wade, man. Yeah, it was not the greatest card, but just for the channel, just getting to use this Dean Wade, it was so fun. It was so fun. Again, the fact we got my Pink Diamond, the testament to you guys pushing for this card is the only reason we got it. So a huge shout out to all you guys supporting my crazy Dean Wade notions. Then they came out with the out of position 2 set, and I was not a fan of this set. Bill Walton, when he got the Evo, became great, but like KD wasn't as good as cards we'd already seen. He was great, don't get me wrong, just wasn't exciting. And same with Jonathan Knight. They were good, not exciting cards, let's be real. Then it was dynamic duos. So funnily enough, this was the day I managed to get Rashard Lewis because he was in dynamic duo packs. But again, even with a huge boost to all these things in duos, does anyone use any of these duos? Like really, did anyone use any of them? Like, I don't think I use them for gameplays. I don't think I've ever used a duo otherwise. And even with the boost in stats, the giant duo thing under the player was so off-putting for a player's release that I'd rather not use a duo. Even if it does end up being worse stats and I have the 2 cards. I don't know why. But whatever about these duos, the craziest thing about all of this was the dynamic duo packs. So I'm going to be showing some footage from Denver in this right here. But these dynamic duo packs, man, these were nuts. Because they were glitched. And instead of putting in duo cards into packs, they put every card in the game into packs. Like, people were out here pulling reward cards. People pulled Opal Kobe. People pulled Opal AD. Like, you were getting the 3,000 collector reward card. Like, I'm pretty sure he assumed he was getting, like, Dwight or Aaron Gordon. And he got Nikola Vucevic. And, like, even Denver, this is when we realized we're like, what the hell is going on? Denver somehow pulled Karl Anthony Towns, who was a lock-in reward. Like, it was madness. It was actually madness. I think there was other people that were pulling some of the best cards in the game. Like, it was a huge blunder from 2K. A huge blunder, that's all I'm going to say. That's the only way I can describe it. There was one good duo out of this, and it was a free locker code duo. So these 2 cards came out, Derek Fisher and Robert Ory. Neither of them were great by themselves in terms of the locker code. However, when they were together, they got so many upgrades. I think Fisher got 50 Hall of Fame badges. Yeah, Fisher was still 6'1". Yeah, Robert Ory was still okay. Still had Melo's release, so he couldn't shoot from the corners. Funnily enough, he has Carmelo Anthony base, whereas Carmelo Anthony doesn't have Carmelo Anthony base. But he had so many upgrades and stats and badges that it kind of made this a fun duo, especially if you were just starting out the game. And it was completely free, so I used it in a few games, and it was very fun to use. I'm not gonna say it was a great duo, but it was a fun duo. Don't get me wrong, it was definitely a fun duo. And then the next day, I have to mention it, but I'm not gonna say anything more. Basically, 2 bros got fired for doing some bad things. That's all I'm gonna say. There's enough stuff out there. If you want to read more, you can. I'm just not talking about it here. Then they came out with LaMelo Ball the next day. They also fired 2 bros very quickly, which is great. And then they came out with this picture right here, and we were like, this was hype. This was hype, lads. This definitely was hype. So they came out with the Gen Next. I'm pretty sure this is my last ever like content live stream for the year. And Jesus, I did not realize how much weight I had put on from the start to the end of that. From start of quarantine to then. But yeah, so LaMelo Ball he was just ridiculous. Best SIGs in the game, best jump shot in the game. I personally think, or one of the best jump shots in the game, I personally think that the Wiseman card was better. I do still think that the Wiseman card was best in the set, but LaMelo is still, in my opinion, the 2nd best point guard in the game after Simmons. Soon to be 4th, because LeBron's coming out as well as Giannis Go card. But ridiculous card. Again, unbelievable SIGs, unbelievable release, huge player build. His Pink Diamond card's ridiculous. Well, I still use his Pink Diamond card, which is nuts. And again, yeah, end of June, a fantastic card, and this set had so much hype. Then next day, player clubs cards were out. We thought maybe these could be something serious, but no, they weren't anything at all. We really did not care whatsoever about players club cards, but at the end of the day, it's something new, I guess. Now we are on to July, where we got Michael Beasley as our Player of the Month reward. Again, it was fine. Like, he was usable in game. He still is usable. Not the greatest card in the world. Like, again, he's the August 12-0 reward as well. I didn't even care enough to try go and get Michael Beasley in July, not gonna lie. Like, I just had so many better cards. Like, so many better cards came out. He was good though at the time, don't get me wrong. He's still a 6'9" guy that can play it too, but he's got like a 25 on-ball seal tendency, which is kind of killer for this card. But at the end of the day, not the worst card in the world, and definitely one of the better Player of the Month awards. Not a bad one, but not a great one. Then they came out on the 3rd with, yeah, I get it, they came out with Carmelo, came out with LeBron, good cards, a better Dwayne Wade. But the big thing, as you guys can see in the top left-hand corner, 2KDB was made on this day. The best database site in MyTEAM history for MyTEAM, guys. 2KMT Central was fantastic. They've gotten slow. MTDB is such a terrible site that I'm so happy that anything other than MTDB is usable. But 2KDB is the fastest, shows the SIG, shows everything, the best database site, and it is not even close. Huge shout out to Kenny Mac and 2K Gamer for helping, and the other guys in 2K Gamer for helping put that together. And then they came out with all-time Spotlight Sims. Again, these cards right here, I was like kind of excited and kind of not excited about these cards. Like, Goat Steph's fine. Like, don't get me wrong, Goat Steph is fine. He's not a bad card. He's got 99 everything, including like 99 strength, which helps him a lot, but he's just not got the best release in the world. His dribble SIGs are okay. He's got Pro 2, but like, that's really it. He's fine. He does a job. I wouldn't use him, but it is only like a 15-hour grind, so if you really do want to use those guys, more power to you. More power to you if you want to use those guys. Guys like him, but an easy grind. Steve Smith is a good card in it, but again, not a card at the stage he came out that was the most relevant card in the world. And again, a quick grind. I think Energetic was the first to complete this grind, I'm pretty sure. Then we got the Lillard flashbacks. Lillard was terrible. However, Lamar Odom was really good. Wiseman was really good. Wiseman kind of made sure we knew LaMelo was coming at some stage of Pink Diamond. But man, that Wilt card still to this day one of the top 3 defensive cards in this game. That Wilt was ridiculous, lads. Not the best shooter, could do everything else in elite level. He was quality. Then they added in a bunch more Evo cards. So these Evos, honestly, again, the literal most pointless Evo in the world was Anthony Edwards. Kevin Durant had a pretty decent one, but Jalen Rose, man, he went from being a good card to a top 5, or top, maybe not top 5 anymore, but a top 10 point guard right now in the game, in my opinion. His steal went way up. The only thing he had negative was that he was slow on defense. However, that improved a ton. He got so much better, and he was already one of my favorite cards. He still is now one of my favorite point guards in this game. And in my opinion, right now he's top 5, but he probably won't be once the Go cards come out. However, the big one was the Go Kobe Bryant. Actually, not the Go Kobe Bryant, the career highlights Kobe Bryant. This card was terrible. Everyone was waiting for the Evo, and thank you 2K for actually giving us the Evo and letting us play with Kobe Bryant. If we didn't do the 250-hour grind. This was about a 10-hour grind to finish this. So rather than grinding, it was 120 hours. Rather than grinding 120 hours, you grind 10 hours for a card that might arguably be better. Because this card right here, he had gold quick draw. And if you guys don't know, Kobe release on gold quick draw is so much better than Kobe release on Hall of Fame quick draw. So he's a much better shooter. Obviously not as good going to the basket, but if you just want him to play defense and shoot the ball, he was really, really great. So I'm delighted that this card is a thing for all the people that really wanted to use Kobe Bryant, because he was very easy to get, especially that first Evo. And yeah, the next day was a crazy thing. Like, what the hell were 2K doing? They were randomly putting in WNBA pictures for Jerry West, RJ Hampton, and Yeko Kongwu. It led to rumors that WNBA players were coming, which never actually happened. But you know what? I really wish it did. I really wish we were getting WNBA players, because you know what? That could have been a lot of fun. That could have been a lot of fun, lads. Not gonna lie. It would have been fun. Then they came out with more flash packs. Goat Shaq was the main card in these packs. But the good thing about these basically was Kristaps. that was it. Like, Kristaps was by a mile the best of all these cards. Pretty sure Boogie was like the main card in these flashbacks. These flashbacks were not good apart from Kristaps. Blake's alright, and then Shaq's obviously great. And then they did this. They came out with the 1,000 token packs, and these guys changed everything. Rashard Lewis, who had been going for 2 million MT prior to that in the day, started going for like 500-600k. Chris Webber, who was 50k MT, randomly started going for 500k MT. It was a madness. People didn't know what way the market was going to be, and Webber was being bought up, Rashard Lewis was dropping, no one knew what was going on. Eventually they kind of stabilized with the way other cards came out. Like, you're getting Kareem for way under $1 million right now, but at the time, like, it was just mad the way the market was. Cards were going up, down, up, down, up, down. No one knew what way it was going to be, and it was just kind of funny to look at. Then 2K leaked this picture. They didn't leak these exact pictures. They leaked basically pictures with blackout of the players. Everyone guessed Giannis. I said straight away it was Yao Ming, the one on the left, because I was pretty sure I'd seen the picture before. Everyone's like, no, it's Tim Duncan, it's Tim Duncan, it's Tim Duncan. Eventually they found the picture and it was Goat Yao. Oh, how much I wish I was wrong. Oh, how I wish I was wrong with that one. Because the next day, they came out with Fan Favorite Series 3. So, as Shake and Bake tweeted, basically, Giannis, Yao, and DBG's favorite players. And yeah, I'm not going to argue that. So, LaMelo Ball, ridiculously good. Thad Young, let's be real. Me and you guys are the reason why that Thad Young card's in this game. The exact same for Dino. The exact same for Eddie. Cam, I'll give Ty a bit for Cam Reddish. He was ridiculously good. JaVale McGee is just a fan favorite player. So was Jordan. But like, oh lads, this set here kind of ruined it all, didn't it? Like, these guys were all buyouts. Eddie Curry was better. That is probably better than Gochak. So was Dino. Cam Reddish was one of the best wings in the game. Like, these are some of the best cards in the game, and they were all like buyouts. It was nuts. And then Yao Ming, I didn't figure out how to use him until recently, but he's the best card in MyTEAM history. And then Giannis is just basically Kareem. Then we got Dino. Like, Dino for me is like the most relevant player because everyone can get him because he's like 20k MT. But it's madness. It is just madness how good this card is, lads. He has the longest wingspan in the game. They gave him the magic behind the back. He's got a really nice Curry escape. Like, Hall of Fame limitless. He can do everything, lads. And he's like 20k. Then they came out with a bunch of token cards. Batum was a great card to get. But at the end of the day, you can't not put Bol as your best one. You can't not spend the 750 tokens on Bol if you have them. Bol is one of the most ridiculous cards in this game. He is basically like, imagine Porzingis with better behind the back. That is what you're getting with Bol. He is literally just Kristaps Porzingis, except his behind the back is significantly better. I still can't believe this is the thing. His handle is unbelievable. He's can shoot the ball really well. Beasley base. For some reason I forgot him on KP. But then they leaked the GOAT or LeBron packs the day before they came. They leaked these packs, and they seem to be leaking packs a little bit before they happen. So everyone kind of knew that the NBA's backpacks were there, were coming, and then there was like a GOAT LeBron and GOAT Vince. And there's no point even talking about these cards because everyone these cards is saying they may as well be GOAT cards. They're all Tendo glitch. They're all just the most ridiculous cards in the game. The game's basically over anyway, and yeah, that's basically it. Those packs well and truly were the end of the end. They were endgame. And regardless of what they do from now on, this was the end of July and this was really the end of MyTEAM. And the only real thing that's going to happen in August is they're going to release Go packs, and because basically the NBA's backpacks were Go packs, there's no point even, like, people are saying wait till after these. We all know what these cards are going to be. They're just going to be different SIGs versions of cards we have. It's absolutely irrelevant. We've seen everything we're going to see, and yeah, that's been basically it for the year. So anyway, that is the video. This video has taken me the best part of 2 days to make. I started putting together clips for this about 9 hours ago. I started recording the voiceover about 2 hours ago. I started planning for this 3 days ago. This has been the longest I've ever worked on a video, and it is a look back on everything from NBA 2K20 MyTEAM, from pre-launch all the way up till the end of the game right now. I've definitely missed out on some things. I definitely have made some mistakes in this video. It's bound to happen because, again, I don't have a photographic memory. It's not like I'm right 100% of the time. And there's going to be some opinions that I have that you're not going to agree with. But this is my experience with this game mode, and I think this is the way a lot of you guys experience the mode. So anyway, that's the video. This is definitely something, if this video does as well as last year's one, that I'll be doing more throughout the year. But it's mad how far we've come. How we've come from this time last year watching trailers of basically casino mode and seeing the uproar with that game. For me anyway, watching other people getting to go to community day, this stage last year, seeing the amount of footage that's come out and seeing nothing for 2K21 is kind of crazy. So anyway, yeah, that is pretty much it, lads. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.
I think you only love me cause I'm poppin'. This a layup, this a rebound, then it's right, man.